open session if that's okay. Okay, for Hilda, would you like to say it now? Okay, all right. See no public comments, then we'll go ahead and go to closed session. There we go. Oh, look at you guys got quiet by yourselves. That's always helpful. Does that mean we need to start? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and I'll report from closed session. The board took action on a 5-0 vote to approve the final settlement and release agreement between the Fullerton School District and the parents of student OAH case OAH case 2022060427. During closed session, the district agrees to reimburse parents of compensatory education services previously attained and to be received in the future in an amount not to exceed $12,375. The district also agrees to pay, as a compromise and settlement only, the sum of $11,375 for all attorney fees owed or paid by the parents in connection with the action. The district shall make payment for attorney's fees to Ostingen Illegals LLP. So that's the report from closed session. We are going to now have our Pledge of Allegiance. Adelicia from Nicholas, our office manager, is here. So there she is to help us or to go ahead and lead us in our pledge this evening.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We usually will have a student do that, but I don't think we have any students in the audience this evening, unless some of you identify as a student. You don't have to tell me. It's okay. So this evening we have some recognitions. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find my place here. So we've got a few recognitions. We are so pleased to be able to hear from Ladera Vista this evening and hear about their exemplary award. So Dr. Bob, if you want to speak on that one? Okay.
Art School Network Exemplary School Designation 2022. So, it's really work that they've begun and they've been doing for quite a few years. And a recognition is not a capture of something that happened in one year, but really is a recognition of excellence year after year after year. And I think they were, especially when the committee came and did the review, they were especially impressed that during the pandemic and when many schools shut down, lots of opportunities, that the arts were thriving at LV. And it's not about programs, it's about people. It's about teachers. It's about, we got to give Bill a little credit here. It's about the principal. It's about our staff, our office staff. It's about all our support staff that come in every day and work hard. And there's a visionary piece that's been brought in. And in the beginning, the art school has been there for many years, but it was really just serving about 100 or 150 kids. Since that time, it's been expanded. Every kid's have an opportunity to really delve deeply into the arts. And so whether that's performing arts or visual arts, they have led the way. And just want to take a moment to thank the entire staff for all the good work and the leadership they've provided and the opportunity for our kids. So I have one more round of applause for them. Yes.
The team.
Look at these.
Andrea, I want you to have the bouquet. You want the bouquet.
How about a few words there?
Like Well, I just make sure I don't get the feedback. Art school, we got to be aware of the feedback. But I do want to, and Dr. Bob really hit on it. But you know, to have a whole team, you need the vision, you need the leadership, you need the artists, you need the office staff who are making sure that, believe it or not, there's a gazillion supplies needed. So if it's not for our office manager Tatiana Ortega making sure that we're ordering all those items, those kids don't have those items. So I just really, it is such a team group effort, and we're very excited to be honored nationally in Las Vegas in October. And there was only 7 schools that got the same designation throughout the entire United States. So we're very proud to bring it home for Fullerton, and thank you to the board for recognizing it. Thank you.
We surely appreciate all of you and understanding that lots of students don't connect. You know, it's the arts that connects them. So I know my daughter did FAME way back when. So it's only gotten better and better each year. So thank you guys very much. All right. Now we're continuing on our recognitions this evening. What, Mr. West, are you there? You're over there. So we have
Yes,
another
yes.
presentation. We've got a social media overview.
Yeah, so we're going to start with a video,
Okay.
Anna, if you will.
Oh my goodness.
So thank you for turning your eyes towards the screen or watching online on YouTube, our live stream. This is FSD Day 1, where the innovation team, our TOSAs, Pablo and Amy Sylvester and myself, we visit all 20 school sites, 21 including My Connect Academy. And we say hi to people, we take photos, we take videos, and we share them on Facebook. And this is an example of one video. We did 3 days. These videos have multiple thousands of views. And so this is an example of the social media work that we're doing to share our story. But what I realized, and I didn't know it when we put this video up there, is what we're really looking at, our relationships. And in our classrooms, in our school offices, we build relationships with our community. And in those videos, I saw Ed Alicia over there. Thanks for doing the pledge, Ed Alicia. And so I saw people on our team saying hi to people. Kelsey, who is our new TOSA, hugging a teacher she went to school with here. And so when we share on social media from the district office, it's a way to reaffirm relationships. So without further ado, we're going to show you a few different ways that we do that. Next slide. All right. So we have a focus this year on 5 different platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I'm just going to show each one very short snippet. Next slide. If you're fast, you can get that QR code and go directly there with your phone. Subscribe, like, and follow. Yes, you can. All of these are kind of the banner images of our social media homepage. It shows you how many followers we have. And I'm here to tell you, we're going to double and triple those numbers this year because of the relationships, the stories we're telling in Fullerton. We're going to share our story and share the great work that we're doing at all our school sites. So there's Facebook. Next slide. All right. That was the video that we already watched, so we can go forward. So Twitter is largely a vehicle for connecting professionals in the district with each other with the hashtag FSD Learns. And so in our district, in our department rather, we're starting some Twitter chats and Twitter Spaces professional development opportunities. That starts this month, September. We're launching something called XPD. And so we're using social media to develop relationships between professionals. So let's go on to our next channel. We have Instagram. Instagram, I just met with a couple of principals at 7 a.m. this morning for coffee talking about social media. And they said Instagram is their #1 platform for connecting with families. And so we're doing research on the platforms. We're learning about it. We're learning how to maximize our reach so that we can tell our story and reach parents and families. And I would like to quote Anthony Abney, prospective families. Because I said, what are your social media goals? He's like, enrollment. Let's go. Let's get those numbers up. Let's get people onto my campus. All right, let's go towards LinkedIn. This is something new we've been developing with Dr. Hammond in HR. We've been using LinkedIn to advertise more job opportunities, developing relationships with the community in that way so that we can tell people about the great opportunities, how to become a part of the Fullerton family. And so we have been posting a lot on all these platforms, but we're developing a following on LinkedIn so that we can fuel that employment pipeline to get people into become part of our employee family. And we also have a YouTube channel. We're streaming live there, and that's where a lot of our content around classroom activities and student celebrations go. I think, yes. Thank you, Dr. Bob. That's a great question. So we do have a show that we started last year. It's a FSD Friday finale, and we kind of do a roundup of all the good things that is happening across the district. And so sometimes we'll send an email out and it'll say, submit a story idea here. So you can tell us what you'd like featured, and we will take those story suggestions because it's about relationships and showing respect and honor towards each other and sharing those stories. I think there's one final slide. So this is just an example of what we've been doing over the last, let's say, 30 days. This is called Facebook Insights. And because we have a professional account, I just went in there, took a snapshot. I believe it says Facebook post reach around 5,300 people. Post engagement, is that, can you read that number? 57. So engagement means people liked it, commented. So we're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of engagements. And let me tell you why. It's because I went to Dr. Hammett and I said, what would you have me do this month opening school with social media? And he said, can you share photos of our classified employees? Can you go to maintenance and operations? Can you go to transportation and take photos? And I kid you not, it was great taking the photos. I'm a photographer. I like that. I enjoy that. It was nice meeting the people. what changed me is when I saw the community's outpouring of love and comments towards those people. Custodians people said, Robert's amazing. He is always out there with the best attitude. And so, yes, the numbers are important, but it's about the relationship. And so our social media is part of playing the relationship game, honoring our employees, and outreaching to the community. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow us so you can be part of that story as well. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Really is amazing. And watching that first video, the music that goes along to it just makes you happy no matter what. So I think pairing those is wonderful. So thank you very much for all your hard work, and to your department and to all of those people for catching the people that really like to be on that side of the camera. All right, Jason Chong, is it Julian? Are you going to go first? Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about our Encore launch.
President Berryman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Bob Pleka, Cabinet, and guests. On behalf of Educational Services and Director Jason Chong and our Program Specialist Tammy Legan, we too have a video in a commercial form. It's a very special announcement we would like to make. So we're going to turn to the screen. Anna, hit it.
Hello, FSD family. We are excited to share with you about a free, comprehensive after-school program called Encore. In Encore, your child will have chances for enrichment beyond what is already being offered in and out of the classroom, as well as more opportunities for academic assistance. Encore is Fullerton School District's new Expanded Learning Opportunities program, available at all sites that serve students in grades TK through 6. This program expands the learning day from 7 hours to 9 hours. It offers our students incredible and engaging programs like hands-on science, STEM, sports and fitness, the arts, and so much more. Academic intervention is going to be offered in the form of interventions, homework help, tutoring, and other site-level support. We aim to give students the boost they need in order to be successful and provide them with time to be prepared for the following day. Interest flyers have already been distributed to each school, so be sure to drop by your front office and pick up one today. For questions or more information, please contact Jason Chong at the district office, and we hope to see you in Encore.
So the big day and our grand opening is September 26th. So Encore will be launched officially at all of our elementary and K-8 sites. So pass on that exciting news.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Question, how is that going to be? Thank you, Jason. How is the video going to be shared?
We'll be hosting it on a website. The district website will be sharing it out to make sure it's posted, as well as the sites, if they're able to post it on their social media, as we just heard, as a great way to connect and share to the community. So we'll be doing all those aspects as well.
Will you send out one of your special letters that goes out with a link directly to that commercial, which might be kind of fun?
We can definitely do that and add that to another way of advertising what's coming out. But the schools have done a really good job of advertising and sharing the information as well. So we've done a lot of interpersonal connections to launch it.
Okay. Oh, thank
So
you.
Jason, if somebody wants to sign up, what do they need to do?
They can stop by their local school and pick up a form today and sign up for the interest and register, as that's happening in the next 2 weeks.
Do we know if there's a large number of people signing up?
There's a very good interest pool forming already, and we'll definitely be working hard to make sure it's ready to roll with everybody.
I was going to say, do you have a maximum capacity?
So we're working on doing our best to make sure that we're going to provide the services needed for as many people as possible.
Oh goodness, this is going to be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for all of your hard work on that. I know that it's been a labor of love. Okay. All right. It's the end of our presentations for the beginning here. So we'll move on to our superintendent's report.
Just to say again, to acknowledge the good work that the entire staff at Ladera Vista did. And again, I want to thank everybody also for coming here and the support. We appreciate it. And again, it's it's not about the programs. It's about the people. It's about our staff. It's about our parents, and ultimately all being there and doing that for our kids. So thanks, because I think we have some of the best staff in the country. So thanks, Bill, and for everybody.
Okay, thank you. All right. So now information from our Board of Trustees. I think we'll start with Trustee Sugarman over there, Hilda.
I think it's not there. Good evening, everybody. It was really nice to see the recognition that Ladera Vista received because they've worked really hard. They've trained teachers to teach brand new courses that have never been taught in our district before. And that's a real commitment for everybody and creativity. And we appreciate that you're doing that for your students. I'd also like to congratulate Fissler and Valencia Park because they have been selected as Apple Distinguished Schools. And that recognition is for multi-year. We're very proud of them because they continue making us the most distinguished Apple School District in the nation. And we're very proud of that because to get recognition means you have to keep reinventing yourself. It's not a matter of, oh, you're doing a good job, just do it. It's a matter of, you're doing a good job, but what are you doing next year? And our schools, our staff, our leadership all see that once you become stagnant, you are no longer doing all you can for your students. And in our case, even our community with our parents taking classes from us and things like that. So congratulations to all of you. Before I lose my voice, I pass it on to Trustee Takor.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Congratulations to LV. There's so many amazing programs at LV, and my son gets to participate in choir this year. It was, the electives are, I think people have maybe favorite subjects, but then it's the electives that really get your heart pumping and get you excited and teach you about performing. And so congratulations, great honor. Trustee Sugarman, I attended my first Fullerton Education Foundation meeting recently. Congratulations to all the new student representatives. It was amazing seeing junior high students already sort of, you could see them in a boardroom, in 15 years. And I'm really excited about the Tiny Home project. I hope that becomes a reality. And then I think I might have missed this one. Flamingos, right? We're bringing back flamingos or something? Flocking. Sorry, that's what it is. That's what I meant. Could you
For
tell
those
me
of
what
you
that is
who want to
again?
know, flocking is contacting the Fullerton Education Foundation, and we will send flamingos for 24 hours to a home of your choice for a birthday or any other celebration, or just to annoy a neighbor. And it only costs you a mere pittance. I think it's $20. Am I right? I think that's what we charge. And equal to that, though, right now, we really want everybody to know that we are going to be having a charitable giving day, November 3rd, and we're looking for ambassadors, whether they are restaurants, gas stations, city personnel, people at school districts. We're printing up great ambassador t-shirts, and we'll be giving them to people who want to celebrate Fullerton School District and help provide the funds for us to celebrate our staff by providing grants to teachers. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Of course, I'm sure all the students were listening better than I was at that meeting. Sorry. Facilities, you're going to hear, well, if you haven't already noticed at your local campus, that our facilities team did an amazing job. I mean, just at Raymond, ADA ramp and, beautification projects. Just thank you so much for getting so much done this summer. And then, of course, some things we might discuss tonight, we will discuss tonight, but also one that you might miss. I went to Nicholas in 1991 and 1992, and I believe the locker rooms there are going to be renovated for the first time. And I don't know how old they were before that.
Yes.
So it's going to complement the amazing weight room and dance studio that already exists there. just really excited for the students in the community. The district is still moving forward on security improvements, and I was very grateful that the district did send out the email in line with sort of the key points from Moms Demand Action. I think that was just, you might not think about it, but seeing the district and hearing about it in voicemail, and I was just very happy that we did that. And so thank you, everybody.
Janie?
Good evening, and also congratulations to Ladera Vista. Very well deserved. One of our board goals, in fact, our first board goal, is about patriotism. And that's a really important part of what we think is important for guiding the district into things that they do. And I will say this last week has been very rewarding for me because I visited a couple of schools who did some amazing things for Patriotism Day. I know that Laguna Road had a huge celebration, as did Fissler, and we even got to hear Linda Beecher sing. For those of you who know her, that's quite a treat. The other back to school nights were great, and thank you, Leonel, for guiding me through Nicholas. He tried to get me in to see the bathrooms, but they were locked. The locker rooms, right? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good.
That wouldn't have been good. So all the hard work, and now the teachers can kind of put aside back to school night. Now it's time to really buckle down and start doing things for the kids and let the parents know that they're in good hands. So thank you for everything that you've done.
I'll kick it off as well. Congratulations to LV for all the hard work that they've been doing over there. It's definitely been a very, very busy last few weeks. Also attending new teacher orientation right before the kickoff of the school year. It was really amazing to see all the people still wanting to teach, particularly here at our amazing school district. So shout out to all the new teachers that have joined us this year. Quite a handful of folks there. Second thing, Trustee Tecord touched on a little bit, facilities and maintenance. Big kudos to you. So attended that cookout. Enjoyed talking to all those folks on the ground, doing all that hard work over the summer. And I'm sure it's still continuing. So Scott, thank you for that amazing leadership that you're doing there. And then we also had a board field trip on over to the American Japanese Museum in Los Angeles, which was a really a good experience for our board and with our cabinet as well too. So that was really an amazing experience, eye-opening for me, learning a little bit more about history. Wish I would have paid a little more attention in school because it would have came in handy attending that field trip. So with there. And then also, again, back to school nights, I want to give kudos to all the principals and their staff in organizing that. Attended quite a few. So again, kept myself really busy. But then I also want to give a shout out to all the teachers that did an amazing job of really welcoming all the parents and sharing what they do and what their students going to be expected to learn and do and holding them accountable, right? So I sat in a few of those classrooms and got to hear, here's my email, here's my contact if you have any questions. Really amazing to see the accountability that our teachers have with our students to meet those expectations. And then last and not but least, shout out to Pam Keller and the multi-age program for attending the 9/11. I don't know what it's called, but it's the monument over down by Golden Hill. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this monument that's been kind of gained traction for quite some years. My son also attended Golden Hill, so I got to kind of see the iterations of it throughout the times, and it's kind of been like the staple in the community where firefighters show up and elected officials show up now too, and it's really amazing to see. But for Pam Keller to be able to take her students and have it being a learning experience was really amazing to see. So, and that's kind of the busy work.
Thank you. I'm just going to add a few things. I think that when you talk about back to school nights and all of our staff and the time that it takes our staff to prepare for a back to school night and and understanding that the most important thing about that is building a relationship with those families, and really having that time where parents or guardians can get to know the teachers and really understand what's going to happen with their students. I think is a wonderful way to start a year and build a foundation so that all students and families can feel like they are connected, and that they're all on the same page, because we're all in this for the same reasons, and it takes a team in order to do that. So we understand that's very, very time consuming. So we really appreciate that. I want to acknowledge staff as well. All of the parent meetings, all of the time that they're taking or that we're taking to communicate everything that we're doing as a district, from safety, from mental health, from, where we're going to put fencing, where we're looking at, and bringing in the community is really beneficial. And again, that's building credibility and I think a trust that the community has with our district. Going out there and just being able to answer those questions, Scott, I think, you get thrown these questions and you can come back with an answer and it's like, oh, okay, I guess you do know your stuff. So I think it is really a wonderful way to build that trust with our community as well. So we appreciate all of what's going on right now, because there's a lot of things going on. If you look at the calendar and look at how our staff are engaging with our community and our families, it's more than I've seen in a very long time. I think this is the most we've done at the beginning of a school year, which again builds that foundation and it builds that relationship that we have that says, we are in this together, and that we're all trying to go forward. Appreciate our staff again, all that our cabinet does, all that our board does, to appreciate the things that everyone does. Being able to go to a barbecue with our maintenance, to say thank you for all the hard work over the summer, because when everyone thinks that school's out for summer, school's not out for your departments, right? It's even more so. You're trying to take advantage of the time when there's no one on the campus and really get in there and do your deep cleaning and fix your drinking fountains, and make the grass grow, all those kinds of things. So we really truly appreciate all that's being done throughout our district with everything, the videos. I mean, how could you not love that video, right? Just those things. So I think it's just making sure that everyone feels included, making sure that everyone feels like, this is a great school district, and we're doing the right things for these kids. So thank you to everyone. All right, we'll move along now. So now we have some information from our associations and our groups. So is there anyone here from DLAC, or do we have a report from DLAC?
I will be reading on behalf of DLAC.
Okay.
Good evening, President Berriman, School Board members, Superintendent Dr. Pleka, and Executive Cabinet. Our DLAC committee would like to welcome everyone back to school for the 2022-23 school year. We are excited and anticipate a great year. I want to thank Dr. Pleka and Dr. Lee for always encouraging our committee's passionate efforts to support our schools and students. We look forward to working with the board and other committees to make the 22-23 school year a huge success. We would like to invite everyone to our first DLAC meeting of the school year. It will be on Friday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. in the Raymond Elementary School, NPR. We will offer parents strategies on how to support their children at home academically through STEAM activities. We genuinely hope that you will be able to attend. Sincerely, Nancy.
Nice, thank you. Do we have anyone from PTA Council?
Not from PTA, but from CSEA.
Okay, go ahead, CSEA. Where do we have? Oh, look at you, you're on tonight. You're not on.
Yes.
I'll start over. Good evening, Dr. Pleka, President Berryman, members of the board, cabinet, and community. I am Tatiana and speaking on behalf of CSEA. We are a month into school, and many of our classified staff have already been working hard getting the year started. Our custodial, grounds, and maintenance and operations staff prepared all our sites to welcome everyone back. Our personnel department has been swiftly working on onboarding employees to fill open positions. Open office staff, health assistants, social service assistants, campus safety monitors, and playground supervisors are back in action supporting staff and students. Nutrition services are feeding all our students, and bus drivers are ensuring everyone travels safely. Teachers and instructional assistants are inspiring students with renewed spirits, and our administration is leading us all. It takes the combined efforts of our entire FSD family to provide the proper support for our students and community. Thank you to all, especially our classified staff, for all the hard work you continue to do. CSCA has continued to focus on helping to unite and elevate classified staff. After each of our PAL and chapter meetings, we email summaries to our members, keeping everyone informed and on the same page. We have various other updates sent through Facebook, our chapter website, or through our site rep communication chain. Recently, our e-board has had a change. As much as it is sad for me to share, we are very excited for Joanne DeClaro for her new journey as Assistant Director of Business Services. Joanne served as our amazing treasurer and part of our executive board for 6 years. We will miss beyond words having you as part of our team. Thank you for working tirelessly for CSCA. We are forever grateful. I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight our ACES site leads and expanded learning instructional assistants. ACES is our after-school education and safety expanded learning program at most of our Title I schools. This program helps our students not only have a safe place after school, but also more opportunities for learning in a fun and innovative environment. Like many of our departments, ACES has struggled to remain fully staffed. Our expanded learning IAs and subs have been working hard to fill the gaps. And our site leads have taken on overseeing multiple sites. CSCA would like to thank all of our ACES teams for their hard work, dedication, and for putting the needs of our students first. Thank you again, Dr. Pleca, President Berryman, members of the board, cabinet, and community for your time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Darlene, is this coming right up? You're ready. You get used to it after a while, I promise.
I don't know if I'll ever get used to
You just
it.
have to get it there.
I need to know who to sign up for the flock of flamingos because I want to do it on my playground. All right, good. I think that would be fun for the kids to come in and see. Okay, first, good evening, President Berryman and board members, Dr. Pletka and cabinet. Congratulations again to Ladera Vista. That's wonderful. And I actually went there the other day and it was very fun. I saw Dr. Leonard and a couple of other people, so it was fun. Kristen and Andy, and so it was fun. So thank you. I want to say thank you to the M&O because during our hot flashes, we lost our kindergarten playground water fountain. And they were out, I would say, in about an hour to fix it. So thank you very much. Also, you might have heard that we had a water pipe break outside of Commonwealth Elementary today. I don't know if it affected LV too. Okay, but we had no water. We had no toilets and kindergarten. That was fun. They were kept going, it's not working, it's not working. But again, all of a sudden water was delivered to our classrooms and I know Lori Bruno was there. So I don't know if she's here right now, but again, the water is fixed before I came to the board meeting, so that was pleasant. So I just want to thank you guys for getting all that done so quickly for us. So thank you. Okay. One of my goals this year is to get reconnected with teachers, school sites, and programs. I was invited to visit Orangethorpe on September 1st by both Pam Keller and Nancy Karcher. The multi-age programs were wonderful. I got to water the garden, and you guys saw that in the film that Wes did. With some of the students, I saw the Sherwood Forest stage, and I saw amazing teachers working magic with their students. I also had a chance to touch base with Terry Sanchez in RTI, which is always a gift. She's a longtime friend. Having this time to see these amazing teachers in action with students at their sites is an honor for me. Teachers, nurses, and counselors are working very hard at this time with conference prep, evaluations, iReady reports, KSL staff development, SEL concerns, COVID, etc. There continue to be concerns for support in the classrooms dealing with combo classes, PE classes, disruptive behaviors, and time to get all the work done. We are hoping that things will return to a more normal routine soon, and we appreciate all the support from our administrators and the district personnel towards that. As our district continues to get excited about new programs, grants, and projects, we would like to ask you to continue the conversations with us and to consider thoughtfully the impact that these things will have on teachers, classrooms, and especially the students. And I appreciate being able to talk to Dr. Lee this past week about some projects that are coming up. So just keep the communications going. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vesma?
We do not have a FESMA.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any public comments? I don't have any over here.
We do not have any public comments.
No public comments. Okay. Thank you. All right. So then we're moving on to approve our minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the August 9th, 2022 meeting. Any discussion? No changes? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. Great. That's approved. Approval of our agenda. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Any questions? Anyone? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right. All right, moving on to consent. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? And then we can talk about any items, or does anyone want to pull anything? I'm sure we want to talk about them.
I make a motion to approve consent.
It's been a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
You seconded. Okay, let's talk about things.
Okay, two things. One, I bet it's almost already up.
Yeah, it's
The
already up.
donations. I hope you all take note of Parks Junior High. Their parents want to make an exceptional music program, and so they have made donations for their children for their musical program. And I'm pretty proud that people took aggressive actions to make sure that wonderful things happen for their students. That's so nice. And thank you to all the awesome people and organizations that donate to our schools to make them better for children. The other item I'd like to comment on is the consent items O through SS, which all have to do with programs to enhance the education of our students. It was very impressive to read through all of that, and I hope that the public would pull them up and read them, because our district is taking steps to not just do same old, to try to catch up on learning loss. And later tonight, we'll see that most of our learning loss was for K1 and 2. And that probably doesn't surprise anyone who's listening to, sitting here, or watching us, because those are very difficult years to teach distantly. And for some of those children, that's their entire school career. So kudos for the leadership, especially Dr. Lee and her team, for thinking of ways to really reach out to students and enhance their learning during the school day and for those 2 hours after school. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything? I'm glad you brought those up, Hilda. I mean, it's when you look at the agenda as it is and you look at the dollars that go along with that, it's a substantial amount of money to put into a program, which is going to mean a lot to our kids. And so we really appreciate all the time and effort and going out and getting that. Looking at all of our arts is still there, and being able to provide whatever we can for our students after school is wonderful. All right. Anybody else have anything on the consent that they want to talk about? All right. Seeing no other comments, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? No? Okay, look at that, moving along. Now, we have an open hearing. I don't ever remember doing an open hearing for a first read of a board policy. We've done that before? So am I gonna declare the open meeting and then you're gonna talk about it to us?
Can do that,
Okay,
sure.
then I would rather do that, then that way we can have a little bit longer for our open meeting.
Yes.
So, okay, so I'm going to now declare a public meeting, sorry, not open, public meeting at 6:48 to allow the public comment regarding the first read of Board Policy 6163.4, student use of technology. So I'm going to now declare the public hearing open.
The reason we need to do a public meeting on this one, it's actually an E-rate rule. E-rate, for those that don't know, is a federal program that helps pay for a significant portion of our internet access for students. And so there are a number of rules in E-rate, and a couple of those involve educating students in a lot of areas around online safety, cyberbullying, and things like that. It also involves CIPA, the Children's Internet Protection Act. So whenever you're creating a board policy that's required by the federal program, they ask you to do an open public meeting as part of the first read. And then when we do our E-rate application, we include the minutes from this meeting, the minutes from the next meeting in our E-rate application. And then if we get audited at any time in the next 7 years, we have these together. So anytime you're changing a board policy, which we're doing as an update, it hadn't been updated since 2010, 2015. It's been a little while and technology has changed. So we wanted to make sure we had certain pieces in there. And whenever we do that, when it involves E-rate, we have to do a public meeting it's to check a box for the feds, but it's to prove that our district is doing it and that we have a commitment to doing it. So this includes things like when we get our digital citizenship certification that covers a huge umbrella of education we do with the students with Common Sense Media. It's things like that that are covered in the student use of technology.
Any questions?
Thank you. I really appreciate how you've made changes and modernized and the programs you're going to be giving at our schools for parents and community. But I did want to read one new paragraph in this new policy, in this adjusted policy, because I think parents and students should be very aware of it. So I'll read it slowly to get good translation on this. Students have no reasonable expectation of privacy in use of their district technology. I think that's an important thing for students to be aware of. And then the second part of the paragraph goes, students' personally owned devices shall not be searched except in cases where there is a reasonable suspicion based on specific and objective facts that the search will uncover evidence of a violation of law, district policy, or school rules. And I think it's really important for families to be aware that even when using their own devices, if they are doing inappropriate things, that the school district has the right to investigate their devices. And if people are aware of this ahead of time, on a rare case when this might be done, because students in the Fullerton School District are exceptionally well behaved, they won't be shocked or taken a threatening approach with the school district. So two things: no reasonable expectation for privacy on our devices, and if you use your own device to misbehave and it affects our schools, our teachers, our staffs, or other students, we have the right to inspect your devices. And I think those are important things to state clearly to families. So thank you.
So this is a first read, which means we have a chance to read it. And if there's any other comments or if anyone has any changes or what have you, let Jeremy know before the next meeting, and then he can make those changes and bring them back. Okay. So those were the comments. So I'm going to now declare this public hearing closed at 6:53, right? Is that what that says? 6:53, right? And now I'm going to open up another public hearing, and Erlinda's going to come in, and it's now 6:54, because I'm going to talk real slow so that we can get another minute in there. So we are declaring a public hearing at 6:54 to allow for the public regarding the adoption of Resolution 22/23-03 to ensure availability of textbooks and instructional materials and certification of the provision of standards-aligned instructional materials for the 2022-2023 school year.
Yes. Good evening, President Berryman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pleka, members of Cabinet. The public hearing the board is holding tonight is to solicit the recommendations and comments of members of the Fullerton School District community regarding the availability of student textbooks and instructional materials. Our current textbooks meet the requirements under the Williams Settlement as well as Education Code Section 1240.3 C2B, which states that each pupil has sufficient textbooks and instructional materials in the 4 core areas: English language arts, mathematics, science, and history and social science. The Orange County Department of Education conducts a Williams legislation reviews on an annual basis. This school year, we were exempt from undergoing the Williams legislation review. So currently, the Fullerton School District is compliant with our instructional materials and textbooks.
Thank you. So that's one of the biggest jobs the board has, is to make sure that our students have textbooks. So that's one thing that we have to make sure we do. Any comments from the board about this? We're pleased
Thank
that
you. It's a
everybody-
relief. I mean, it's an important thing.
Yes.
I remember touring some classrooms with Trustee Sugarman way back in the day, and that was always her first question to students is, do you have a textbook? So it's something we take very seriously here. So
I still do that.
So, okay. And there are no public comments on this, right? I forgot to ask the last time. Nothing's over there. Okay. Anybody else have anything? All right. Seeing no further comments, I'm going to go ahead and declare this public hearing closed at 6:55. Thank you. Thank you for all your work. All right. All these little things that we have to do. All right. So we are moving on to discussion and action items. So discussion action item, sorry, A. Oh, there we go. Dr. Hammett, you're on.
Yes, our first discussion action item this evening is to approve and ratify a memorandum of understanding between Fullerton School District and CSEA regarding the Encore program. As you saw this evening on the consent agenda, and saw in the announcement from Dr. Lee, the Encore program is starting. And to support that many students in an after-school program, we're going to need additional staff. This MOU establishes providing extra hours and extra pay to existing classified staff to come in and help assist with maintaining ratios in these programs, ensuring we have sufficient supervision and support staff to support all of our students who will be participating.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve or ratify this MOU?
I'll move to approve or ratify the memorandum of understanding.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve or ratify the memorandum of understanding between the Fullerton School District and the California School Employees Association, Chapter 130, pursuant to the extra hours for the Encore program. So any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on to B.
Yes, item B is to approve or ratify the memorandum of understanding between the Fullerton School District and FETA, the Fullerton Elementary Teachers Association, to establish our junior high K-8 intramural sports stipend for this coming school year. One of the things we found as we have worked with our intramural coaches and looked across our different junior high and K-8 schools is the need to create some more consistency regarding how long games last, how do practices work, how do we try to level the playing field a bit to ensure that everyone is getting the same level of practice and preparation and time put into the game. So this MOU sets that level, minimum levels for everyone, and provides an appropriate stipend to the teachers who then serve as coaches to support the students in these activities.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve this memorandum?
I move to approve the FETA MOU for intramural sports memorandum.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anyone have any questions?
We have children in our district that don't have the means to necessarily participate in sports programs unrelated to our school district. And this is a wonderful program to allow those students to participate in the sports they enjoy without having to pay funds and the associated costs. So I think it's wonderful that we will be making sure that everybody gets a fair shot and that we appreciate the people who are coaching with appropriate stipends. Never enough, but appropriate.
And then just remind them that we love to see those sports schedules. So share them with us. All right. Any other comments?
Just a shout out to all our physical education teachers and coaches that through the years have really moved forward our sports programs. And I am going to give a special shout out. While we have so many people that are part of this, Jeff Hecht has led the way for years.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Thank you. Make sure we get one of those schedules. All right. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Are you still up here?
I'm still here. I don't go away. I just keep coming back. So our next item is item C, which is approve a new committee on assignments recommendation for the 2022-2023 school year. In doing all of our credential audits and looking at teachers who are teaching courses, we have 2 additional courses which we're requesting the board to provide authorization for teachers to teach courses outside of their credential area where they have expertise and previous experience in teaching these courses.
Do I have a motion to approve it?
I'll approve the new committee on assignment recommendations for the 2022 and 2023 school year.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Do these have to be approved separately?
They do not.
So one item, number C. Right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
So now that we have students being taught a formal level 2 course in cybersecurity, everybody best beware.
We're just going to call on them when we need to. Okay, all right. Oh, okay, good. Oh, now we're going to have our what is this, our GAN?
Oh,
yeah, GAN. Yeah, don't even try.
Yes, board. It's September, so it's time for the GAN limit, which is a requirement the board has to take action on. GAN limit, aka Proposition 4, which was passed back in 1979. Mechanism in place, and the purpose of the GAN limit was to make sure that state, local, and school spending stays within a certain limit. We have to do a calculation, and that's what you are approving tonight.
Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yeah, I move to approve the GAN limit resolution.
Second.
Should I add 22-23-04?
I'll catch it. Oh, good. So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 22/2304, approving the recalculation of the 21-22 appropriations limit and establishing the 2022-2023 estimated appropriations limitation calculations. Right. With all that said,
Special thank you to Damien because he knows how to do it. And we appreciate it.
thank you. Anybody else? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay. We're ready for E, emergency resolution.
And if you could bring up E on the screen, that would be great. In the last 5 years, I can think of 2 other times where the board has been asked to approve an emergency resolution on an item. First being was we had a school field that was going to take a very long time to get completed. and the emergency resolution that was passed enabled that field to get done faster, where kids could play on that field safely. Emergency resolutions tend to center around safety, student safety, staff safety. The second time it was passed, I believe, was on March 13th, 2020. There was a resolution passed for COVID, which enabled the superintendent and staff to move as fast as possible to ensure the safety of students, to ensure that education would continue, albeit possibly not here, but through distance learning. And so that was very effective. We now have another safety concern. And if you remember with the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, was devastating, horrific things that took place at a school that did have some fencing but wasn't fully secure. And we've had many parents come to these board meetings, and they're actually demanding that the district move quickly. We have 9 schools that are not secured with complete 100% fencing. Since we returned to, and we have been we are planning to fence these schools. Our plans are with the Division of State Architect, and as soon as those plans come out, we want to move forward. An emergency resolution being passed by the board, and it must be unanimous, would enable us to move as quickly as possible to get the fencing in once we get our plans back. It might even speed up DSA too. We've had some concerns, as mentioned in the resolution. The first couple weeks of schools, we've had people coming on campuses, threatening staff. We had an incident at a school with perimeter fencing, where there's a park next to that school where the police apprehended somebody with a gun. I'm happy to report that I believe that because the school had perimeter fencing, it maybe prevented that individual from running into the school as a place to hide. As I said, we've had staff that have been threatened. Even at the district office, we've had people walking down under the influence of controlled substances with baseball bats, yelling at staff. And so we need to move as fast as possible. This is for the safety of our students, for the safety of our staff, and for the peace of mind of parents who every day are sending their most precious gifts to our schools, giving them, entrusting them to us to educate them and to keep them safe. And that fencing, every day that fencing is not up is just another day where parents are very concerned. And so we are asking that the board approve an emergency resolution, unanimous, that will enable us to move as quickly as possible to get this fencing installed. So with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to adopt the emergency resolution 22/23-05.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the emergency resolution 22-2305 of the Board of Trustees of the Fullerton School District, authorizing the superintendent to take any and all necessary action to fully secure district facilities with total perimeter fencing. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, Dr. Coleman, you mentioned that if we take this action, it might even convince the State Architecture Board to approve our plans more quickly?
Absolutely, yes. And so the next step is, if it's approved tonight, I then write the county, I pass it on to the county. The county then gives me a letter that I can share with DSA to say, this district, this is an emergency, let's move a little faster here at DSA.
Do we already have plans that we're submitting to them?
We
as
have
well?
plans that have already been submitted, but we're just waiting for them to get approved.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? No other questions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving along. We've got another resolution.
This one has to do with, and we brought this at the last one when we had a new director, Damien Ibarra. We now have a new assistant director, Joanne DeClara, who we need to, for signatures. And so that's what this resolution is about.
She can
I
start
so
some tricks.
move.
Trustee Sugarman moves, so I'll second. Congratulations,
Yeah.
man. This is great.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2223-06 authorizing designated district personnel to sign various documents by signature to be kept on file by the Orange County Superintendent of Schools for the Fullerton School Districts, District 22, 40, and 48. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right.
Joanne will be available after the meeting for any
signatures, for autographs
or signatures for the book signing.
And I bet,
So
bet
just
we'll
stay
be
on up
able
there.
to
You
re-
got some more fun, exciting news, right?
Yes.
Another presentation. All right.
It's time to do the post-game wrap-up for last year. This is what we call the unaudited actuals. They are actuals. The reason why they are unaudited is because the auditors will review them between now and December, and then we will come back with that audit in January. So they are the actuals. It's how we ended up. And so I think we have a clicker, or are you going to do that? All right, we'll move on here. So unaudited actuals, this is a state requirement. It has to be done by September 15th. We have to show a statement of revenues and expenditures and changes in the fund balance from when we estimated what it was going to be last June. So we're showing you, did it change? Did it change a lot? And why did it change? We'll compare that to last June. So when we were up here and we were estimating when we did our budget, we were projecting revenues to be 125.62 million on the unrestricted. Keep in mind that the general fund has unrestricted funds and restricted funds. The restricted funds come with a lot of strings attached to it. They kind of zero out. Unrestricted is where it's at. And so we were estimating that revenue would be 125.62 million. It was actually a little bit higher, came in about $420,000 higher. That was due to some extra lottery money that came in and some extra E-rate funding as well, and some sale of some Second Life Mac sale. On the next slide, expenditures. So that's good news, is the revenue came in a little bit higher. Expenditures came in a little bit higher too. They came in $2.89 million. And so when we look at that, we ask the question, why did this happen? We projected 125.11 million and it came in at 128. What happened? Well, we offered a lot of summer programs, of which part of this is from the summertime in June for expenditures. Also for classified salaries, I heard that the facilities never looked better. And we had a lot of staff that were working. We also were moving a lot of teachers from room to room. And so we had a lot of people working overtime and extra hours. Associated with that are the benefits and the statutory rates that go with that. So there alone accounts for 1 million of it. Another $1.6 million has to do with books and supplies and services and operating expenditures. School sites receive supplemental funding. It's their 302 account. And we were asking, you need to spend that money. That money is for kids. And so a lot of what you see purchased here is things that were purchased for this year, just accelerated, that were spent last June. So it's one-time money that was spent that is being enjoyed and experienced now. We had some capital outlay projects, a little bit higher that we estimated on. And then our contributions are for special education, for maintenance, and also transportation. We had some extra costs in special education that came in as a result of the shortage of staff and the ability to hire staff. They're just not there, and having to use outside agencies. So overall, expenditures came in at higher. We were estimating, if you can go to the next two slides, we'll go one more. We were estimating that the balance at the end of this year would be unrestricted, would be $28.96 million. It is in fact $26.49 million. So for the year, there was a deficit spending of just under $2 million. I heard my voice. Part of this is also a requirement, as you recall, Proposition 2, which was passed back in, I believe it was 2014, put a reserve cap on school districts. And we've talked about this before, the 10% reserve cap. And so in a sense, we're having to kind of spin down our balance to make sure we're in compliance with that 10%. And so the deficit spending that you see there, albeit you may say that's a lot of money, it is on one-time expenditures. It's not on ongoing expenditures. It's one-time expenditures for that spending. If we go to the next, actually, let's go back one slide. That $26.49 million is comprised of some different categories. There's non-spendables, that's the warehouse, that's about $500,000. There's the reserve for economic uncertainties. This is the 3% that we are required to keep a reserve, 3%, which is part of the 10%. In case of emergencies, I want to remind everybody that 3% makes up about 2 weeks of the district's salaries that we pay. Seems like a lot of money, but if the state were to cut us off or do deferrals, which they have in the past, in the recent past, that's where we go to our reserves. And so that is part of that. The assigned balance, which I'll talk about in a minute here on the next slide, but not yet. There's committed funds. As you recall, last year, the board committed $7.5 million of the ending balance. This is not part of the 10%, and they committed it for maintenance on our buildings and also the uncertainty of declining enrollment. What's going to happen if the enrollment goes down? And then we have the unassigned, which is $8.88 million. If we go to the next slide, please. The assigned balance is we've got some carryover from last year. Some of the supplemental money still carried over, 1.6 million, and some site carryover. We don't take away the money from the site. Ed Services have some money that was carried over. We have 900,000 set for textbook adoptions, and then also we set aside money for deferred maintenance, which is, so the total is 4.1 million for the assigned fund. And we'll go to the next one. And that was the committed balances we talked about. Next slide. So
Textbooks is that for our next
that would be for
go round?
future textbook adoption. So we want to set that money aside because we know that's an obligation that we're going to have to do.
It's going to be more than that. So.
It might be a little bit more, yes.
Yeah, and that includes, I know a few months ago we adopted the new history curriculum, and that's part of some of that.
We did junior high, and now elementary will be next. Elementary history curriculum was the next rollout, and yeah, probably about $2 million.
So there's
Part
yes.
of the whole thing is that the government gives us so much money for an adoption, and it doesn't cover the costs. And we have to buy the books, but we have to find the money to complete the purchase. And so it's a balancing act.
Correct. This report does two comparisons. The first comparison is where did we say we were going to end up and where did we end up? The second part, which we're going to go into now, is how did last year compare to the year before? So we want to look at that. Go to the next slide. We know that last year revenue was up. LCFF overall revenue increased from the previous year $7.27 million from the previous year. On the next slide, you'll see that our expenditures increased $6.79 million. So year over year, while it appears that the ending balance went down a couple $1 million, you can see that of the money we received and the money that we spent, it was actually less. If you go to the last slide here, or the next slide, I want to point out, you see where it says total ending balance 28.44 for that year and then 28.45. It's a rounding issue there, but basically it's within 10,000. You'll see that for this year compared to last year, the deficit spending was $1.95 million. That takes care of the general fund. If we go to the next slide, also in the general fund, when we look at the ending balance, we look at what the percentage is, the total percentage, including committed funds, which are not part of that 10%. And you can see that, yes, the general fund has been going down, albeit you need to remember what happened back at the end of 2020, that school year, 2020-21 and 21-22, when we were in the middle of COVID. And so it's not surprising that the ending balance did go down a couple $1 million a year during the worst economic times and the biggest challenge for school districts ever that happened. So it's not surprising, not surprising.
It was intentional because we decided that that rainy day money, this was the rainy day, and that we were going to do what we needed to do for our classrooms to be safe with HVAC, for materials we needed, for extra food we might have needed. And so it was unintended in terms of historical, but it was intended for that time period.
Correct. And it was also having those funds available that during that time there was a portion where there were deferrals and the state was not passing along money. And because we had those funds, we were able to keep and make payroll. And because while the state could tell us, sorry, we're not going to give you your $8 million this year to make payroll, I don't think that would have worked too well with our staff saying, sorry, I can't pay you in October, I'll pay you next April. That would not have gone well. So that's what that savings did. There are other funds on the next slide besides the general fund. And you'll see we talked about the comparison of those. The one that really jumps out is the cafeteria fund. You'll see that the ending balance went from $2.52 million to last year, 7.31. And you have to ask the question, well, why did that happen? What happened last year that was different? And as you recall, last year, everyone received a free meal that was reimbursable. And so the good news is we fed a lot of students. That was, and that money was reimbursable. And so the funds were coming in, and then we now have this excess. I'm working with Nutrition Services, and we're looking at the infrastructure. Can we make some improvements to the kitchens? Can we make some improvements to some of our menu items? Are there some things we can do there? Maybe spend a little bit more, even though we might not get reimbursed. So we're looking at ways to pass that on to everyone, even the a la carte items. Is there a way that we can charge a little bit less for those for students? So you'll see that balance go down over the next 2 years. Some of our other funds, you can see the capital facility funds, our developer fees, that's gone up about $500,000. Special reserve fund went up a total of $780,000. Capital projects, $110,000, and then the self-insurance fund. The bond interest and redemption, we identify it, but that money's not available. It's to pay off. It's the money that's collected for the school or for the GO bond, and then it goes out. And so it hasn't changed too much.
I have a question regarding cafeteria. Historically, I've gone into a school and the school has wanted kids who don't, let's say, eat an apple, don't bite into it, don't eat it, to put it in a place where other children could take it if they were hungry, or recycle it, you might say. And then for a while, I was told that you couldn't do that. It was against the law. And this month, I believe it's in the Orange County, in the School Board Association magazine that we get, a school was being honored for doing that. And it was a Northern California school. Is this a rule, piece of legislation in Orange County, or can we give children the right to put aside food that isn't eaten and let others eat it, or give it to places that could use it?
I believe that rule was suspended because of COVID, more than likely, that kids taking food and then placing it down for somebody. So I'm not aware that that's not available. I believe it's still available, but I will work with our Director of Nutrition Services, and I can provide that information back
Yeah,
to
just
the
in a
board.
note.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And so we go to the next slide, which will be the last one. Recommendation, as always, is to proceed with caution. We have some certainties out there. We know that rising health costs are putting a greater burden on the budget. Declining enrollment, it's ever so small. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as we thought. We provided that information to the board. We were projecting that we were going to be down a lot lower, and we are not. We are still declining, and that's not because people are leaving the district. It has to do with the fact that we have more students in the 8th grade than are coming in the lower grades. When we look actually at kinder, we have more kinder students this year than we did last year. So it's starting to level off, which is a very good thing. But there was a time there during COVID that it was very uncertain. We still have some rising STRS and PERS rates, employee pensions that are going up. We know about those. There's also some uncertainties. COVID-19 is still lingering, the monkey virus out there. We've got attendance rates. Are kids going to be coming to school? Inflation, while it is coming down slightly, how long is it going to be there? And then we hear about the potential of a possible recession. Are we in a recession? Are we going to have a recession? So we want to watch those. So it's, again, proceed with caution. But at the same time, we cannot be so cautious that we deny our students the education that they deserve. But we still make things, we're cautious and we're calculated when we make our decisions. So with that, the next steps are to submit our unaudited actuals to OCDE. If you go to the next slide, please. We're going to continue to monitor enrollment. They'll do the independent audit. We will continue to update this year's budget, and you'll see me back here before then, but in December, to present the first interim report, which will show spending from the start of the school year to December. And on behalf of, I want to thank all of the divisions, the business division, on the next slide, educational, human resources, personnel division, Maria Hill, Assistant Director Payroll, Joanne DeClaro, Assistant Director Business Services, and big thanks to Damian Ibarra, who was actually doing 3 desks all in one month. And it was new to him. He was without an assistant director. He was without some other staff. And he's very happy. I'm happy this is complete. I think he's even more happy that, he's nodding his head in yes agreement. So I want to thank them for a successful year-end closing. And with that, are there any questions?
All right. If seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the unaudited actuals for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2021-2022 unaudited actuals and concurrently approve the 2022-2023 revised budget for Fund 08 Student Activities Special Revenue Fund, Fund 51 Bond Interest and Redemption Fund, and the fund balance changes to the District 2022-2023 beginning budgeted balances of the legislative body of the Fullerton School District 22 and School District Community Facilities District 2000-1 Vandale District 40 and Fullerton School District Community Facilities District 2001-1 Amherst Heights District 48.
I couldn't have said that any better.
I figured for the minutes we need that, right?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you for all of that wonderful hard work, and thank you, staff, for that. Oh, look, Dr. Hammett's back. You get no rest, do you? No rest.
You sound so excited to see me back.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So our next item is the approval of the revised board policy 6173, education for homeless children. This board policy was brought to the board as a first read at our last board meeting, and now we're bringing it back this evening. There were no changes or modifications made to this from the first read.
All right. Is there a motion to approve Board Policy 6173?
I'll approve the revised Board Policy 6173, education for homeless children.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve revised Board Policy 6173, education for homeless children. Any other comments?
I think this is commendably comprehensive, and I think that parents of students or guardians of students who are homeless will be much appreciative of all the commitments we have made to ensure their students get the very best possible education and equitable things like busing and everything, as all of the students in our district and as it should be. So thank you for putting it in writing.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you very much. All right, so now we have a resolution for textbooks and instructional material. Go ahead.
Yes, we held the public hearing earlier this meeting. Now it's time to recommend an action to adopt the resolution 22/23-03 to ensure availability of textbooks and instructional materials and certification of provision of standards aligned instructional materials for the 22-23 school year.
Goodness, not that better myself. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and seconded that we adopt that resolution. So we had our public hearing, we heard it, now we have to sign the resolution that goes along with that. So all those in favor of saying, of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Back to another board policy. This is a second read, so it's an approval.
Yes, and this would be approval of Board Policy 6020, which is parent involvement. We actually have made some modifications to this from the first read. We have added to the title parent involvement / family engagement. And everywhere in the board policy where it listed parents, we've added guardians and family members, understanding that many of our students come from settings where there may be parents, there may be guardians, there may be family members who are helping to raise our students, and we want to make sure that all of them are involved in our schools and able to participate. We also had a few spots in the policy where there was a mention of a specific program, and we went ahead and mentioned that amongst other programs. So the policy, in case some of the programs we offer families change, we want to make sure that we allow flexibility for those programs to be listed in the policy.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve this board policy?
I'll move to approve revised Board Policy 6020, parent involvement.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve revised board policy 6020, parent involvement / family engagement. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for making those little changes. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that, Chad. Understanding kind of that some of our students are also overseen by guardians and other family members. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Our next item is item K, which is approval of the revised board policy 6158 on independent study. Since the first read, there has been one change. There was a mention of a specific format. I'll mention it here, Zoom. And not knowing what will happen in the future, we didn't want to limit the world to just Zoom. So we left it as a virtual networking device. So it could be any number of things in case that program were to change.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve revised policy 6158?
I move to approve policy number 6158.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve board policy 6158. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're moving along,
All right, the next item, another board policy. This is approved revised board policy 6174, education for English language learners. This board policy was brought to the board for a first read at our last meeting, and there are no changes from the first read. We're bringing it back this evening to the board for potential approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll approve the revised board policy 6174, education for English language learners.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve revised board policy 6174. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and just, so our audience knows that board policies are obviously all online, and each year we take a look at a bundle of them and we try to update as we need to. I'm sure that there's plenty more than we could spend time on, but they're very, very long. So staff will submit them one meeting, present them, and then we have a chance to read through them and then comment, and then we adopt them the following meeting if in fact we can. If not, we push it out and look at stuff otherwise. So just to give everyone a heads up on how that happens. So, all right, administrative reports. Yay, reports. Oh, reports. Here we go. Sometimes I think I'm just thinking that, but I say it. All right. So our first read of our annual board goals. Is any staff that we're doing this one by ourselves? Okay. All right. Has the board, I forgot my folder that had that in there. Our board we've sent out, or on our agenda was our existing board goals that we adopted. We spent plenty of time. We go through and we work with our superintendent. We come up with board goals, things that we feel are important. We came up with 5 board goals, I want to say, on our list. And then from those board goals, we identify specific objectives on how are we going to meet those board goals. And we all agreed, and then we put them in writing, and then the district goes and makes that happen. So that's part of what we do, which is a lot of what we do. And so this is our time as a board. And again, remember, our board can't have conversations outside of this table. So the board has had a chance to look at our existing board goals. And then what we're doing is bring them to the table now to see if any of our trustees have any changes they would like to make. Decide if we're going to do that here right now and talk about that, or if we're going to defer it, or where we as a group would like to be with that. So if anyone would like to start on a discussion or make a recommendation, please feel free, or I'll just start on one end and we can go that way.
I'm so proud of our current board goals. Working with my colleagues here, concluding my first term, we added a board goal that encompassed student safety, well-being, nutrition, mental health. These were not specifically outlined prior to that. And it sets the direction and the tone for the superintendent and his staff. We talk about not just hiring great staff, but retaining them. I think we really thought deeply about it. And so at this time, I don't have any minor edits, but I think President Berryman, you indicated that perhaps after a new board member is seated, we might want to bring it back up, and I would be okay with that.
I did have a comment on it. It happens I was focusing on the same goal as you, number 5, and that we live up to our goals. We just don't write them. In tonight's agenda under the consent items, number F was to modernize our enrollment and employee health benefits with a new system. And part of that was focusing in on being more proactive and conscientious of these things for our employees and our students. And I think as a board, we are pleased that we might make these goals and policy, but our superintendent and his people, they do the hard work, they do the lifting, and they see that these things get done. So I wanted to thank Dr. Pletka and the IT staff and whoever else had party to noticing that we needed to improve upon that goal. that goal is so important right now, number 5, after COVID. So I spent some time today trying to figure out, would I move it to a different location of the 5 goals? And just so the people who are listening knows, number 1 is high expectations for all students. Number 2 is long-term district financial stability. Number 3 is recruit, hire, support, and retain exceptional staff. Number 4 is welcome and engage families and community. And number 5 is promote safety, mental, physical health, and well-being. And I couldn't figure out where else I would put it because you have to be fiscally solid before you can do anything just about. And expectations for all students is what we're all about. And so I've left it at number 5, but I wanted to mention it to my colleagues because they may think that there's a better place for it. That was it.
I've never felt like the location of the goal gave priority over another one. I think they're equally as important. Is that the intent?
I don't think so, but I think sometimes when people are reading, we have so many little bullets under our goals. I'm not sure they read all the way down to the bottom. I hope they do, but
They read the bold print.
maybe. Yeah.
Yes, I will say that the position of 1 to 5 has nothing to do with the emphasis. So
good.
just as a side note,
No, good.
if anything, last year, one of our major largest focus was on mental health. And if we talk about student achievement, we have to make sure that kids feel a sense of safety. And we need our staff also to feel that sense of safety. And before you can achieve at high levels, that kind of basic human need needs to be met. And so there was a lot of emphasis in that area in kind of a post-pandemic world. But whatever position you want to put it in is fine, but it doesn't change our focus on it.
Put it in like a pyramid, make it like Maslow's
Yes.
hierarchy of needs.
No, because then we wouldn't be able to agree on that.
No, I also agree that all 5 goals are really instrumental to our district currently. So, and then I also do agree maybe deferring to the new board member joining us in December. So maybe deferring any other actions till then.
I would ask my board to think about with high expectations for all students. I think that not post-COVID, but now, as we're looking at how our students are performing in the primary grades, as maybe, I don't know if we would want to add an objective just to the high expectations about focusing on literacy. Whether that's something that we have to spell out, or if we feel that part of one of the objectives that we already have in there. I just think that literacy seems to be something that we really, truly, and I think you have mentioned that that's one of the things that you are actually focusing on. And if we as a board put it in writing, then it becomes something that people are more apt to look at.
Yeah, just to comment, for sure, the goal on high expectations and student achievement in that context for sure covers that. But you'll see here coming up that early literacy is really was most impacted in the areas of student achievement. And the irony, and I hope I'm not stealing the thunder here, but junior high ELA scores actually went up after the pandemic. We might say that putting junior high kids in their bedroom for 2 years may have actually been beneficial. But I think it really reflects that we were able to do more interventions. We were able to do.
They're alone. Okay?
Yes. I think that we put more interventions in place, and for sure, kids who already can read were able to carry on through Zoom and through a whole variety of ways. However, if you're in first grade and you're 5 years old and learning to read, if you were at home on an iPad this big, where your teacher is this big and their mouth is this big,
and they're looking at mouth for formation of letters and sounds. I think nothing substitutes that in person. And so it's not a surprise that early literacy suffered, and it will be an area of focus. So, one of our primary goals, and I feel it's almost a moral imperative, is that all kids learn to read. We could argue about the importance and where other subjects fit. Of course, they're all important, but early literacy is, I think, one of our moral imperatives. Whether you put it in and you want to emphasize it, I think the goal is broad enough that if you didn't want to emphasize it, we can still cover it. However, it could call out a need and a focus.
So would it be appropriate at this time to move to call for a study session in maybe January 2023 to address potential changes?
Sounds good to me.
Is that a second?
Shani, I'm so proud of you.
So by us not doing anything with these right now, is it going to do anything to affect the focus of our district and the teaching of our children or the running of anything?
No, I mean, I think it's really clear. I do believe the goals that you set and what you prioritized were so apropos for the last couple of years, especially the mental health. It was almost, actually the goals came up, this focus on mental health pre-pandemic, and it really did prove to be such an important piece, so that the resources, there were $2 million additional resources that were dedicated in this area, and it's actually grown since then. And as far as, again, the early literacy, Dr. Lee and her team has a whole plan for this, and it'll be a big focus. We're excited about the opportunity to work with our kids in more intensive ways, especially our neediest. So I don't think it's going to have a huge impact here. We have a plan. We're moving forward. And I believe we know what the board wants us to do on this.
So we don't necessarily have to put it in here in order for you to do it. Okay, I'm good with that. All right, so then we are just going to defer our adoption of our board goals till after our reorganization, probably in January. Okay. All right. All right. Moving on to our arts education overview and impact report. Thank you. Dr.
Hello.
Lee.
Per board request, Educational Services tried our very best to capture each facet of our world-class arts program into a presentation. Just a public thank you to Phil Ling, our coordinator for the arts, and his arts team. And a public thank you to a partnership that we treasure, All the Arts for All the Kids Foundation, President Wendy Lloyd Davies, as well as Executive Director Kelly Whiteman. So with that, I'm going to invite Phil Ling up here to be able to share with you a presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Good evening, President Berryman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pletka, Executive Cabinet, and Fullerton community. Thank you for the chance tonight to share about the profound impact that arts education has had on our students. I want to share by starting with my first arts experience in Fullerton School District about 25 years ago. I was in my first year in the district, and one day an artist educator walked into my classroom. Does anyone know? Oh, I was going to ask, does anyone know who that is? That's right. That's Melanie Vogel, one of our legendary visual arts educators. Mrs. Vogel helped shape what arts education meant for me in Fullerton School District in her very first lesson. She had a magical way of mesmerizing and captivating all of my students, even my most challenging friends, as all 31 sets of eyes were glued to every word and demonstration with her oil pastels that day. At one point in her lesson, one of my students says to Mrs. Vogel, "Oh no, I made a mistake." The student had drawn a shape that was perceivably outside the dimensions of the sample. And this is when Mrs. Vogel, in her nurturing voice, replied, "Oh no, dear, that's not a mistake. That's a discovery." And in that single moment, Mrs. Vogel helped define for me the why and the vision that centers arts education in the Fullerton School District. Facilitating spaces for discovery to happen, for creativity to be released outside the permissions, boundaries, and literal lines that we draw and our students draw for ourselves. Creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing, taking risks, breaking rules, making mistakes, discovering, and having fun. This quote helps encapsulate the vision behind arts education in every arts domain and discipline. A vision that began about 30 years ago by those who came before me and continues today with the amazing artists and staff who make this happen for our students. We've been fortunate to operate under the leadership and guidance of Dr. Pletka and Dr. Lee, who have made the arts a priority and a staple within the instructional day. We've also have a valued partner in All the Arts Foundation, which supports arts programs both during the school day and after the bell rings. And I do want to acknowledge Ms. Kelly Whiteman from the All the Arts Foundation, who is here with us tonight, as well as Ms. Wendy Lloyd Davis, the president. So thank you, Kelly, for being here. I'd like to share 3 significant spaces where you'll see the arts impacting students. First, programs held during the school day, arts programs after school, and special events and student showcases. Our instructional day programs consist of All the Arts for all the kids, creativity centers, junior high electives, and elementary instructional music. The first program is our All the Arts classes held during the day. There are 5 key domains by which students are provided with arts instruction: theater, visual arts, music, dance, and an emerging domain in the media arts. For each domain, students in TK through 6th grade receive a series of 6 individual lessons, totaling between 24 and 30 experiences for the year. For the 21-22 school year, we're proud to report that the arts team successfully scheduled over 7,000 individual arts classes for our mainstream and special day classes in TK through 6th grades at all 18 of our elementary schools, including distance learning as well. Another portion of our instructional day programs is our extraordinary creativity centers housed at several of our schools. This program consists of a field trip or 2 to one of the labs or for a specific art skill or content standards connection. The first is the Children's Arts Museum and Creativity Center, which is an interactive learning environment where students make discoveries through the arts and the study of ancient civilizations such as ancient China, Greece, Egypt, and Native America. And you can see the role play in the various projects and exhibits they have at that center, which is located at Fern Drive. The Clay Lab is a hands-on lab where students will learn and create ceramics directly tied to grade level standards. For example, our 4th grade classes make a science connection, learning about various environments and habitats, culminating in an animal pinch pot. Colors, Shapes, and Numbers, our newest center at Valencia Park, has been designed specifically for TK and Kinder students as an interactive exhibit with 4 rotations and a final art project. With the use of costumes, puzzles, magnets, and an augmented reality treasure hunt, this lab allows students to interact with well-known artwork while learning about colors, shapes, and numbers. Instrumental music is another integral component of our in-school arts education. Every 5th and 6th grade student has the opportunity to play a musical instrument and can choose to continue instruction in junior high. In addition, we have a large library of instruments students may borrow if they're not able to rent or own one. Our junior high and K-8 sites also offer 30 different types of elective courses in the arts, including guitar, 3 levels of dance, graphic design, symphony orchestra, and theater production, just to name a few. This is a wide array that has a profound impact on the creative element of our almost 2,700 7th and 8th grade students. And that concludes the first portion. The second component of the FSD Arts Experience is our after-school programs, which consists of stage, Fullerton String Orchestra, the Mosaics Lab, and additional classes offered through the All the Arts Foundation. Stage is a real-world theater experience that is open to FSD 3rd through 6th graders, where students can work with a professional director to learn, create, and perform a fully staged musical theater production with costumes, lights, and professional sound engineers. We're excited to host our first 4 shows at our elementary sites for this fall and hoping for more in the spring. The Fullerton String Orchestra is a district-wide program offered to students in grades 3 through 8 and is funded by the All the Arts Foundation. Students develop their instrumental string skills once per week after school for 2 hours throughout the school year. They can choose a violin, viola, cello, or string bass, and showcase their talents at a concert near the end of the school year. In partnership with the All the Arts Foundation, the Mosaic Lab is an after-school and summer program for students, which allows young artists to actively learn artistic skills and techniques with a variety of materials such as glass cutting tools, glass, and grout. Students learn entrepreneurial skills that apply to real-world large work installations. And in addition, our partnership with the foundation has also provided arts conservatories and classes taught by our professional artist educators and are designed to further develop students' artistic talents. At least 38 classes have been held at a majority of our elementary sites and served approximately 835 students. And the third component of our FSD Arts experience is our special programs and showcases, including Excellenza, our International Arts Exchange, Wonder of Water, Family Arts Nights, and additional arts impact events. Excellenza celebrates the work of young artists, dancers, musicians, and and singers who have been engaging and learning artistic talents through the year. This night showcases student artwork from all grade levels and school sites, as well as performances from district dance teams, honor choir, band, and orchestra. Now into our international art exchange with the city of Fukui in Japan. FSD enjoys a long-standing tradition of participating in an international art exchange with Fukui, where we receive and send 30 works of art. Now, we'll receive these pieces in early October and have them on our wall of fame near the front reception area of the district office. And we're glad to also display them in our October 11th board meeting here throughout the room as well. So we're very excited about that. The Wonder of Water is a district-wide art and photography competition for students in grades TK through 8. Student submissions can be entered in 2 categories, for either the love of water or nature of water, and are typically showcased at FSD Fest, normally held every spring. And in partnership with the Foundation and Fullerton Ford, Family Arts Nights are offered to all 18 elementary schools. Families are invited to engage in a variety of arts activities with our professional artist educators, including dance, visual art, music, and theater. And finally, we have a number of district events that provide students with art experience, including our block parties, our Champions for Learning Conference, and SOAR, which is our Saturday school opportunity for attendance recovery. Now, as you can see from my 31 prior slides, FSD has a rich heritage of not only championing the arts, but also enriching and empowering students in the arts, and more importantly, to let them know that they are creatives regardless of their passions and their interests. Now, as you know, the state has allocated some upcoming funding, and one of the purposes is to support arts education. We want to welcome FSD staff, community members, and district partners to attend a focus group where we can share ideas on how to enhance our arts programs, and additional information on that focus group will be coming in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the presentation? I think there's lots of things going on in our arts. Are you finding that we're able to get back into the swing of things after being, virtual for a bit?
Yes, our team has been working very hard to pretty much come back to pre-pandemic numbers in terms of enrollments for our labs. Our All the Arts sessions are back in full swing. In fact, we started August 29th with our All the Arts sessions. And so we have artists currently in the rooms. In fact, I visited one today at Hermosa. And so it's happening and it's already alive and well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody? No? Thank you so much. And thank you for our partnership with All the Arts for all the kids. I think All the Arts, we could not do this without you. The years of service that you guys have provided us, the many art projects that are all over everybody's walls. I'm sure that you guys all still have things on your walls from your children as they were going through the district. I know that I still have a picture of the Arboretum on our wall. So I know how important arts is, and I feel like our board feels like it's always been something that no matter where we've been, manning the storms of financial cuts, arts has always been something that's been very important to us. And I think as a board, making sure that this still continues on and that's a focus of what we do, understanding that arts is not something that's in addition to what we do, it's part of what we do. And infusing that into our curriculum and making it a daily thing is something that's so very important for many, many students, and the creativity that it takes for people that are graduating. And when you talk to employers on what they're looking for now, they're not only looking for people that can do a job, but they're looking for people that can be creative and think out of the box. And that's what this will provide our students. So it is so important to make sure that this does happen. So thank you again. Moving on to, we're gonna skip, if it's okay with my board, just making sure. As opposed to doing the number C, the RTI program, we're gonna move over to the facilities presentation first. So we're gonna move D up to now, and then we'll go back to C. If that's okay with everybody? Yes? All right. Sorry.
Okay. So this is a continued discussion. We have talked in the past. We've shared with the board ideas about putting in 2 buildings at Parks Junior High School and also at Nicholas Junior High School. And tonight we want to take it a little further. Want to show you some pictures and talk about some potential uses for that. I know when I came to Fullerton 5 years ago, I thought it was a little strange. The junior high schools we had one performing arts center gym at Ladera Vista. And we quickly started talking even years ago saying, well, let's go out for a school bond, and it was front and center with the school bond. But the community was not ready for passing that school bond, but the need is still there. And so while we don't want to just sit and wait for a school bond, we every day, every year goes by, we have students going through our schools. And so what we're here tonight to talk about is the many uses. It's not just a gymnasium. I think people think, oh, it's just a gym. Yes, it is a gym, but it's many other things. And so I do have some pictures on the side here. Anna, if you could bring up the presentation, that would be great. We'll share them up there. These pictures, those are not our kids and not our community meeting over here. I didn't have any really place to get those pictures from.
The age is a little older.
I do believe, I think it could also be used as bingo. It could be used as bingo also, which would probably be.
Maybe not bingo.
We could do a similar demographic. It would be older, of which I'm part of that demographic now. So Anna, you have that presentation? There it is. Oh, it's coming here. So when we look at this, we refer to them as gymnasiums, performing arts centers, community centers, emergency operations centers. All of those terms are correct. And there's different times of the day and different times of the year, and that each one of those is important to have. And Parks and Nicholas do not have that. And so I see that you have the draft one. So you know what? We'll just keep going here. That's fine. Okay. So it's not only just for Parks, and yes, you have that there. It's not only for Parks, and it's not only for Nicholas. It's also for the other schools, the elementary schools. If any of you, we have some Ladera Vista folks here, your Performing Arts Center is used constantly. It's booked. And because it's not only used by Ladera Vista, it's used by some of our elementary schools, it's used by the community, which is what we want. We want them to use it. And so the demand is there. If we go to the next slide. So the pictures that I'm going to show you, this is a sort of a rendering of what it could look like. I also want you to imagine, this is at Nicholas, I want you to imagine that there was outside would be like a patio area, a nice area, outdoor learning area attached to this gym. If you could go to the next picture, please. One of the nice things about these gymnasiums, they go up pretty quickly. They can withstand 85-mile-an-hour winds. Hopefully we don't have those, but they go up quickly. This one has a stage in it, so it's a combination Performing Arts Center. You've got bleachers on one side, and you've got the courts in the middle. If we go to the next slide. People ask, how are you going to fund this? School bond's not going to pay for this. And because it has multiple uses, we look at multiple ways to fund this. And so little bags of money. We look at it that way. Some bags are larger than others. Because you can't, each one runs approximately $13 million per building. And much like at your house doing a major improvement, you couldn't do that out of your salary. So you would look at some different savings and pots. One of them will go right to the top right is take out a loan. Interest rates are still low, and we could borrow a portion of the money and pay it back over 20 years. There are some one-time state funds that came in this year that some of those funds could be used to purchase this building. Remember, this is a one-time expense. So one-time funds is what a lot of them, what we're talking about here. The board did commit some funds for facility improvements. Those funds could be used, portions of, to fund this. We have a self-insurance fund that has a small amount of money that we could use. Also, developer fees. Remember, every year for people at their homes where they do improvements, new additions to their house, we receive money each year of those developer fees. Those funds could be used to purchase the buildings. And then we have a capital facility funds, which is some savings that the district has that needs to be used for capital facilities, large items. If we go to the next slide, I've kind of listed out some of them. Most of them are restricted. Some of them are savings accounts. Developer fees are restricted for classroom-related facilities. Capital facility funds, this is for large projects, purchase of land, buildings, site improvements, and equipment. The self-insurance fund could be used to purchase air filtration systems to keep people healthy. We have those committed funds, and if we go back one more, and then the one-time state funds, and then borrowing funds for 15 to 20 years. So on the next slide here, there are many potential uses. These are just some of the potential uses for that, and so we'll just go through these slides. Obviously, during the daytime, gymnasiums, right? We have a PE programs, and it can be used inside. It also can be used for inclement weather, wind, rain, excessive heat, of which we got to experience these last couple weeks. Right now at those schools, when they do PE, they're outside. They don't have a place to go. And so this would be facilities during the daytime, not just sporting events during the day, but also after school sports, intramural sports. Next slide. Emergency operation or evacuation centers. Let's hope this never happens. But if we do experience an earthquake of a large magnitude, which they say will probably happen here in the future, it may be many hours before parents, because freeways are knocked out, before parents can come to pick up their kids. And so one of the things that we envision is this is a place that could be centrally located and would not only house students from those schools, but also it could be 2 days, it could be 3 days before people can actually get to their children. And so you could have the elementary schools, instead of having 5 elementary schools all open after the first day, you can have, okay, let's bring all your kids to one central location. Typically what happens too is the Red Cross comes in. They also offer assistance. So it can be an evacuation center, not only for our students, but also the community. I think it was a few years ago, we had fires. And when those fires happen, the Red Cross comes in and they have to evacuate homes. And so it is open to the community for that. Red Cross comes in and it's a place for our community members to go. We'll go to the next slide. Community events. We often have forums and community events, places to get together. And so that's my group there. I'm not in that picture. Is that you, Dr. Bob? No. You're there. You're there in spirit. You're there. Yes. And the next slide. And then, of course, performing arts. It's not just about sports. If you've been to Ladera Vista, I've experienced many plays and musicals and orchestras and bands. And it's just so much nicer when they're up on a stage compared to when they're on the ground, which is where we are now. The way it is now, I know that Parks, when they want to do a performance, they go over to Troy and they use their little theater over there. So this would be nice for the students, nice for the families. Wouldn't have to travel too far. And as I also mentioned, the elementary schools, many of our elementary schools, almost all of them have multi-purpose rooms, but sometimes they're not big enough. If you've ever gone to one of those events, they're kind of small. So it's nice to have a place where you can go. It's a little bit larger, kind of move around. Next slide. There's other benefits too, as we talked about the inclement weather, excessive heat, rain, wind, COVID testing centers. I hope we're done with, I know we're done with testing, but I hope we're done with pandemics and we never have to do that again. But we know that during the pandemic, we were looking for spacing for students, and at Ladera Vista, it was great. We were able to have a lot of students in an area. We had the air filtration system. We kept the social distancing. We were able to keep learning going on and get students to school. So that would be another major benefit. I'm sure there's a lot more. Go to the next slide here. I know there's a lot more. There's a lot more benefits, but we feel, and I'm the warm-up act here for the main event, Dr. Pletka, and so he's going to share with you what's our why. Why now? Why is this so important, and why now? So turn it over.
I think we've hit a time, probably one of the most significant intersections in my 32 years. So I've been in 6 different districts, and in 6 different districts, in every case, our junior highs, there was adequate gymnasiums and performing arts centers for the schools. This is the first time I've been in a district where there wasn't that available to our kids. And what we have always focused on here and done better than anybody else is it has been about our staff and our community. And we have world-class staff and we have a world-class community. And we as a district and as a community has focused on the right things first. And that's been the people, that's been who we've hired, that's who we've drawn in. And just a couple things. We have had in the area of athletics. So we have the leader in our community that has hosted events and hosted sports across multiple districts. And that person has been Jeff Hecht, year after year, bringing sports to our kids, year after year, not having adequate facilities, year after year, hosting incredible tournaments and events. And while it is amazing, and I'm thankful for people like Jeff Hecht, and we have other people in this room right now that have been have made big contributions in this area, they also deserve a place where they're proud. And our kids deserve a place where they're proud. The other day I was at Nicholas, and it was for our ELD program, and we had parents that came out, and we have at Nicholas one of the smallest, I don't even want to call it a multi-purpose room. It's not that much bigger than this room. We couldn't even sit all our parents and families in that room. While we were there at the event, Angela, who is an amazing dance teacher, who takes the kids every year, and what she is able to do with our children, again, I would say it's one of the top dance programs in our area. But our kids were dancing on asphalt with a whole group of kids and a whole group of parents, all proud. And we did forget about the asphalt because of the beauty of what she did and what she performed. But the truth is we couldn't see. The truth is there wasn't space for parents to look upon their kids and be proud. They were proud of their parent. They were proud of their kids, but they didn't get to see. Nicholas deserves a place where that excellent dance teacher and people like Angela can show off the great work that the kids have done. And Jeff Hecht and every PE teacher at Parks, they deserve a place to showcase their top sports program and athletics programs that they have built. They built it. And our performing arts, we have something here that no other district I've ever heard of in California has. We have an all the arts program for elementary kids where kids get to experience the arts in ways across the discipline at every grade level. That's, by the way, in the 6 other districts I've been, there's nothing comparable. There's on the East Coast where they have $25,000 ADA per kids. That's more typical. But here in California, it's unheard of. How about all the arts? Our stage program, our performing arts, our band program, don't they deserve a place where they can perform? And yes, thank God for LV's gymnasium and performing arts. And thank God that they are so generous. But there's not enough space for 21 schools to have world-class arts, world-class sports, world-class events, and engagement centers. This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In 32 years of being an educator, we have never seen the amount of one-time money. This is not ongoing. We have ongoing money, and there's other uses for ongoing. That's where you hire people and retain people and all those things. That's not touching that ongoing money. This is for one-time expenses. And we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In 32 years, I've never seen this. I've never seen this intersection of one-time money that's come into a district that allows something that is a legacy for our kids and our community that literally will help the next 2 and 3 generations of kids that come into this community. And I'm passionate about it. I'm so proud of our staff. I'm so proud of our community. And I want facilities. I want performing arts centers. I want gymnasiums that's worthy of the world-class staff that we have here. And our kids, they deserve this. And so I just ask that you consider, at this point, we're not even asking you to vote on it. We're asking you to give us direction, to take our pictures of, again, the elderly, we enjoy and we love the elderly, but to actually spend some time with some committees here, getting our performing arts professionals, our physical education teachers, bringing in our custodians, bringing in a committee to look at what would a world-class facility look like, having state-of-the-art performing arts equipment, the technology around that, the lighting, the sound systems. And so what we're asking is not for you guys to vote today, but to give us direction to be able to engage the community and put something together that our community, our kids, and our staff, and all of us can be proud. So that's what I asked for you today, from you today.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So we could have a discussion as a board on if in fact if we will give them direction to pursue looking into this to bring back a recommendation, correct? So if hearing from my board here on how you feel about sending them off to go and gather and bring back. I think
Well,
that's
I'm
what
all
they're
ready
looking
to
for.
say go for it right now. You know, I think it was about 6 years ago that I really pushed for the property that is below Beechwood School to be purchased by the school district for an arts center. And at that time, it was $1 million, and it was a lot of money, but now it's sold for $3 million, and they're building houses. So yay for you for making this happen for me, because it's always been a bit of a dream for me.
Does there need to be a discussion? I mean, make it happen. I mean, I have some questions, but ultimately, I mean, I think it's pretty short and sweet, and just let's find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. You know, there were too many bonds. It was right before COVID. Maybe we dodged a bullet, but you know, it really did sting a little bit that the taxpayers, our neighbors felt that a school bond wasn't appropriate. And like you said, this is a one-time opportunity. Dr. Colgan, I would just ask that we consider, if this is our community, maybe we can hire locally, we can hire former veterans, we can hire our local professionals and keep our investment local too.
I don't know why we don't have the picture, why we aren't already digging. I don't get it. When we did the gymnasium at Ladera Vista, for those who were not here, the school district wanted to take the money we had, which was the remaining money of our bond, and add HVAC to schools, check the plumbing and put in plumbing where it was needed, And the board disagreed with the superintendent and cabinet and said, when are we going to get this lump of money ever again? The first person who spoke was Mr. Bass, Trustee Bass, and he said, we have an opportunity and we don't want to miss an opportunity. Our pipes will get fixed, maybe not all in 1 year, and our air conditioning will go in. But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we want to go for this. And I remember standing up when he was done and applauding him. It was so unusual for a board to take alternate direction. And when that building was built, we were so proud of it. And it was just heartwarming. And every time I go there, I think about that. And I think how close we came because it was not a unanimous vote. And how wonderful it is. And how many thousands of performances and shows and sports and things have happened because we took that brave stand and gathered up money and said, we're going to take this money and do something that we may never have an opportunity again to do. And the thought that we could give a gym to both Parks and Nicholas and provide equity for both of those communities is so important that I just am tickled. I really, seriously, almost to tears to think that we might do this. Yeah. And thank you for your inventive leadership to find the funds almost as much as we need. And please make it even, nothing against Ladera Vista, but I'm sure we can even improve on it and make it an even more amazing place. And the only thing that you didn't think about was it will be a great place for Fullerton Education Foundation to have fundraisers.
I'm not going to add too much because I think I agree with everybody here.
Good.
I do want to say that when you pull together your committee of all those people out there that could definitely add, definitely bring LV in because I'm sure there's some lessons learned. Floors maybe. So there's probably some lessons learned on, just kind of what we want to look for and what we can do to improve on that and to be able to do that. So you have something to add?
Yeah. So I did have some comments to make. I just wanted to make it kind of short and sweet, but I remember working with the residents of the Woodcrest neighborhood many years ago on an emergency kind of community plan. And one of the things that they came up with was using the school as a center. So that really kind of does resonate with a lot of the community members to be able to use our schools as like an emergency center. So them thinking that having a place big enough that's indoors and it's not, all outdoors is really an amazing way to think about it being an asset for the community. But then also working with the PD. I know, again, many years ago, working with former Chief Hughes, having a meeting at Nicholas where it was standing room only, people spewing out of that quote unquote multi-purpose room at Nicholas for something very, very important when it comes to public safety in the community when it resonates to the parents of that surrounding area. But again, showing this one-time opportunity that we can put all these dollars of different pots together to make this happen, I think shows some true amazing leadership. So thank you.
Well, it sounds like you have your marching orders that we are open to a proposal and information. So thank you. And thank you all of you here today that probably came for this particular item and becoming more well-versed after 2.5 hours of understanding what we do and just being part of this. Feel free to stay.
Or go.
No, you almost made it. You almost made it. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So going back to, let's talk about some response to intervention RTI programs. Hold on one second though before you start. I'm just looking. Okay, this looks like it could be the last presentation. That's okay. So, all right. I was gonna call for a break. I think we could do it. All right, Dr. Lee.
How do I follow that, Dr. Bob?
I know.
I lost my audience too. With that, we have a special presentation for you tonight. It really includes brief highlights of the learning recovery plan that Dr. Bob mentioned. Hopefully this presentation will clarify the phases of our response to intervention program. It will disclose the needs, our current needs, and it will also reveal a plan for our most intensive supports for our neediest kids. So with that, I want to introduce to you Emily McDougall, Program Coordinator of Ed Services under the direction of Dr. Sortera Ruiz. I would like to introduce to you Tracy Kim, our Program Specialist under the direction of Sang Chi, Director of Ed Services. Oh, the title of the plan, Rise of the Padawans, a 4-year quest. Drum roll, please.
Good evening, President Berryman.
I thought it was a dog or something. Pause or no? I guess I'm not.
Jedis. Yes. Before they become Jedis.
We will clarify what a Padawan is. That's an important part of this presentation. Good evening, President Berryman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pletka, Executive Cabinet, and all guests currently in attendance and listening. FSD has a proud history in tiered response to instruction and intervention, focusing on learning recovery since 2013. In 2013, FSD initiated a Golden Bell Award-winning program designed to support ELA reading instruction at all 20 sites. That was our phase 1. Fast forward to 2021, we hired additional coaches to support the greater needs at all Title I sites, in addition to providing math RTI coaches at all 20 sites. That was our phase 2. Now this year, in this phase 3, with equity in mind, we are responding to the academic impact of COVID-19 and are fortifying our efforts in learning recovery at sites identified based on a triangulation of data that includes SBAC and iReady. We have named this learning recovery plan Rise of the Padawans. And it's important to note that in the Star Wars universe, Padawans are these measures. Our students will ignite a renewed mind. S, step towards a goal. And finally, E, execute and take action. A rise mindset is what we want to instill in all students through our plan as they meet challenges and exceed expectations. Towards the end of last school year, we shared this information to communicate the impact of the pandemic as seen through iReady data. Negative numbers in red indicate the learning loss for that particular grade level from 2018-19 to the 2021-2022 school year. It's not a surprise that the primary goal grades felt the most impact. That negative impact was not as evident through the iReady data in upper grades.
I have a question on that. I forgot from last spring. Are we comparing the same group of students or the same grades?
Grades and grade levels, yes. In addition to best instructional practices at the classroom level, intensive supports are the solution to the deficit. The success of our robust RTI program can be seen here in this data. In 2021-2022, we had 25 ELA RTI coaches that supported over 1,300 students. Last year was our inaugural year of the Math RTI program, and we added 16 Math RTI coaches to sites who supported over 1,000 students. Based on the spring 2022 iReady data, students participating in RTI increased their percentile by 7 points in ELA and 5 points in math, more than doubling the gains made by students overall, or students who are not participating in RTI. So this illustrates that ongoing success of our growing program as we develop and level up and to meet the ever-changing needs of our current educational landscape. RTI support is firmly in place at all sites and is ingrained in the culture at the site and district level. Each school's RTI coaches provide direct service to students, typically through a pull-out schedule with research-based specialized programs designed to build critical skills and close achievement gaps. During the first week of school this year, all ELA coaches were trained in a comprehensive Orton-Gillingham systematic approach to foundational literacy skills. New this year are our RTI instructional leads. We were able to identify 4 instructional leads for ELA and 4 for math from the current staff of RTI math and ELA RTI coaches. They support 4 to 5 sites each. Their focus is serving the needs of students, receiving interventions, and supporting all tiers of instruction. This year, we will also be directing resources for push-in support throughout the day to serve our at-promise students and provide after-school interventions designed to promote learning recovery.
Now that we have identified the need, these are the steps that we need to take to equip and empower our students to succeed. In the area of ELA, our intensive supports will include Operation Lightspeed, a district-wide ramped-up hyper-focus on literacy in the winter months targeting grades 2 and 3. We have added ELA RTI instructional leads and interventionists to support our Tier 3 students in foundational literacy. Our after-school interventions will include the expansion of the Linda Mood Bell clinics, as well as the Orton-Gillingham-based academic intervention. We have purchased Heggerty Phonemic Awareness curriculum for all K-2 classrooms, including DLA, and are planning for implementation and content training. All of our RTI coaches in both ELA and math will continue to receive strategic PD in programs and pedagogy designed to impact all learners. In the area of math, we will implement Operation Hyperspace, a district-wide focus on fluency in grades 2, 3, and 4. We have added the math RTI instructional leads and math interventionists to support our Tier 3 students during the day and after school. We will also begin our after-school interventions where students will participate in reflex math fluency practice, small group bridges intervention, and the On Cloud 9 math program. The Nicholas Rising Stars will also be supported through our Rise Club, where students will receive interventions and mentorship. To support our junior high sites, we have added ELA and math interventionists to expand our Tier 3 support during the day and after school. In ELA, our junior high schools have adopted the Read 180 program to implement during interventions. The junior high sites have also established additional designated RTI classes to support Tier 3 students, as well as our plans for expanded Linda Mood Bell interventions at Nicholas Junior High. To support our designated ELD and newcomer students, we have developed our program to include Lexia. In math, additional intervention classes during the day have also been added for smaller class sizes in our junior high sites. They will be implementing Zern and Bridges Intervention Program for our after-school math instruction. And lastly, as mentioned before, the Nicholas Rising Stars will also be supported in both academics and mentorship through our Rise Club. There are many ways to look at data through the RTI lens. For example, we can look at growth, proficiency, or even the depth of support needed for every site and determine the areas of focus. As you can see here on this slide, there is not just one blanket answer to servicing students. The support needed for a child who is 1 grade level below will look differently than for a child who is 4 grade levels below. Strategic planning and curricular decisions are necessary to target the specific needs of each student group. Here's a map of our 4-year plan of our ELA and math program, RTI program. The goal of our vision is sustainable learning recovery. We will begin our year 1 journey focused on building a strong foundation in our RTI program by providing continued support to our school sites, hiring new RTI staff, piloting Club Rise at Nicholas, and building RTI culture and leadership with the inclusion of RTI leads. In year 2, we will reassess needs based on data to expand and build upon our after-school program and continue with training and program expansion. Finally, for year 3 and beyond, our impact goal will be to cycle out as many Tier 3 students from RTI by continuing to target those who are most in need. 60-day challenges and fluency competition will be implemented at all sites. Our sustainable goal will be to increase our number of students at proficient, thereby allowing for increased Tier 1 and Tier 2 classroom support. These efforts will be integral in improving the quality of teaching and learning across all of our schools in the Fullerton School District. Thank you.
Thank you. That was pretty comprehensive. Is that questions? I think that RTI is very, very important, obviously, from when it started to where it is now. How many students do you think you've touched over the past maybe just a semester, a year, or yeah, some. Where is some? Ballpark.
Yes. It was 1,300 students in ELA and just over 1,000 in math
And that's just
last year.
last year alone. And how long, when did we get, RTI started 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
2013.
Right, yeah. Time flies. So, yeah. Questions from the
And-
board?
Yeah, and usually what's the time span for a student in the RTI program?
A cycle would last around 5 weeks.
Until they get good at what it is that they're in there for.
And if they need it, they continue.
That's correct.
What I was most impressed about is as you can pinpoint something, so a student can not, can only need 1 or 2 little areas, and that's where the RTI or the intervention comes in. So thank you. Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, I do. This is a really comprehensive plan. And because of the history that we've had, recent history that we've had, things are so upside down and different than normal and leading to this year. So what do we do when we have all these programs in place and during the school day and we don't have enough substitute teachers or something? How do we cover all this? What do we do to make sure that this happens every day?
So the RTI coaches So the in-class, the during the school day program isn't dependent on substitutes. So those are actual staff positions by our ELA and math RTI coaches. And we haven't had any problems with that this year.
So we don't have problems with people being sick or out or any of that stuff.
These are additional RTI teachers in addition to your
No,
regular.
I understand that, but if we have staffing problems, because sometimes we hear about we need more substitutes, can we still do our program?
Yes. The only time we actually did have a difficulty was it was a year ago in January when we all came back. But since then, we haven't had the sorts of things where like we've had to have mass folks come in. We still struggle on in-school professional development on those days where we'll pull out groups of teachers. And that still is a struggle. But in terms of like day-to-day staffing classes, that hasn't been an issue. But yes, we like to do professional development and we like to do it during the school day. And for sure, the Great Resignation has impacted our ability to do during the day staff development.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe as a follow-up, every time I see the iReady snapshots of before COVID and then during and after, it always, I think it makes my cortisol levels rise.
Yes.
And I know that what we're doing is working. And that's why we're doing RTI in ELA and in mathematics. I think maybe, and some, it's probably because I didn't do enough science and should have been a doctor like my parents wanted. But this thing always freaks me out. Can we just maybe have a study session or question session just to better understand? Because I know why we're doing the RTI and I am fully supportive and I know that it's working. I just, every time I see this side-by-side comparison of our scores before COVID and during and after, I think there's just a disassociation that happens for me, and I wanted to talk about it further. So,
and to have a way to measure that RTI is really making a difference, because when I look at the percentiles and see the percentage of students in our district who are passing the grade level standard, it's not my vision of success, I guess you'd say. And that concerns me. And so I really do want to find out how many kids remain 3 and 4 years behind. And are they perpetually there? Do we get them out of there? Because I know people are working so hard and are being so creative, but I must not have enough information and I need a better understanding. So I would support a workshop one day to understand better.
Yeah, the pandemic its impact on student learning is real. There's no like sugarcoating the fact that it's not just in person and out of person. You had kids that were quarantined for much of an entire year. I mean, kids repeatedly. Being in school matters. And for 2 years, even students that were here with us most of the time, they were quarantined. They had to go home. So is it just stressful that especially K1, K2, 2, 3 haven't learned at the same rate? Yes. What is clear, though, is when they go through the interventions, when they go through our programs, they succeed. Mm-hmm. But are they behind? Are the kids in first grade, are they behind the kids before the pandemic? Yes, and by a lot. And so if you're concerned about it, we should be. Early literacy was impacted by the pandemic. We should all be, this should be I'll say it. It should be one of our major focuses or foci as we move forward. Early literacy took a hit. And if you're concerned, you're like, your cortisone levels are high. My cortisone levels are really high. I think this is a moral imperative. And so we should be spending our time, our dollars, our energy, and our resources in this area. So yes, you are absolutely correct. This is an area. Now, we have staff that are highly successful at doing this. Do we know they're working? Yes. We have data up there that we just showed that the programs are working at a high level. We had West Ed come in and do a study to say what our teachers do, our regular teachers, not just our RTI teachers, they succeed at a higher level with our kids than other neighboring school districts and other schools around the country. But if in the end you're like, oh no, it's not enough. Yeah, because we need to put more. There was $8 million. Is it $8 million new dollars, Julian? 14 million new dollars that we'll be spending for this. So keep monitoring, keep asking the questions. And if you're concerned, we should all be. And definitely our first, second, and third graders need our support, our love, and our continued focus. But we have right in this room, we have teachers right here that are amazing and outstanding. And what they can do, we can turn the tide with our kids.
That's what we want. Anybody else? Just in case anybody's wondering, we are watching. We are really watching.
Well, and you look at the percentages once you do put students into RTI and watching those numbers go up. And I think that pre-pandemic, as we first brought in RTI, which is why we've built on it and we've added to it, is because the data does show that kids that are given these interventions, that it does work and that they do go up. And so understanding that we're at a space where we really need to focus on that, which is why the focus on early literacy is important. That we hope that putting these resources behind this program, because it seems to be something that does work, that you guys can get in there and make it happen and get our kids back up to where we can where they can read, because it is important. K3, we need them reading by third grade, right? I mean, it's really truly something that we need to make sure that we're doing for our students and for our families. So, okay. Anything else to add? Thank you for engaging in that conversation. Again, these are great conversations to have. We appreciate all of the information that you guys have presented. And I do thank you. And I believe we are on our last item. Dr. Hammett's back.
He gets to start and end.
That's right. You just get to keep seeing me.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
Like
So
you. We'll keep you around.
our last item this evening is the first read of Board Policy 6163.4, which is the student use of technology. This was the board policy that we held the public hearing on. We do encourage the board to review that policy. Let us know if you see any changes or have any questions, and we can make revisions and are open to those prior to our next board meeting, where we bring this item back for approval.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. On that note, do we have any possible requests, or we think we're moving forward? Anything we need to add?
I do,
Okay.
Trustee Berryman. I would request, I don't know who, speaking on safety, safe routes to school, maybe like a presentation for, I know some of our schools have been, always new parents come in to our school sites, and there's usually some challenges with pedestrian safety or traffic safety, but maybe sharing and highlighting how we work with either the county on the safe routes to school, and maybe do some education, and then hopefully the public and the community can access those safe routes to school on the school websites and something like that. But just if we could do like a presentation and highlight how we kind of come about with that information and how we share it with the community and the public.
Is there a second?
Agree? Yeah.
I'll second that. Maybe can we broaden it, like just traffic safety around our
Sure.
schools?
Yeah.
And can we add, the police department probably could partner on that only because don't they have, don't they have responsibility for some of that stuff?
Just a quick note. I'm going to give Chief Dunn some love here. Chief Dunn put together a safety committee that includes Chief Adams from the fire department. It includes both Fullerton College, Cal State Fullerton, Hope University, and a couple other private schools as well. And so we have representation. He's putting together with all of us kind of a plan, and just one little, like, I don't know, I'll call it pretty cool thing is we're going to be purchasing radios, the same radios on the same channel that both the police and fire have. And so you've heard of some of the incidences where you have people that aren't able to communicate. The school and the fire and the police will all have one radio system, all on the same channel. And Chief Dunn is leading that. And so if you happen to see him, give a shout out. We appreciate his leadership on that. And we'll try to invite them to the same presentation.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Anything else? Okay, seeing no more. Oh, look at that. It's 8:48.
I was 2 minutes off.